Hello. Shift for Shizzle wanted me to do videos about aliens, so I've been forgetting, but I remembered just now. I'm cooking, and all of a sudden I'm like, video! So, I like to, when I talk about alien stuff, I like to talk about teachings of Bashar. One thing about Bashar, one thing that Bashar likes to talk about is, you will never have more of an impact on the universe as you are having right now. So I think he was saying, no matter what you do, you will always have the same exact impact on the universe. So it doesn't matter what the fuck you do ever. So I guess he's like a nihilist. Isn't that kind of related to nihilism? It doesn't matter what you do, it's all the goddamn same thing. And if you're a good person and you apply that in the right way, I think that's a cool way to look at it. Because it illustrates the eternal size of the universe, the eternal length of the universe's life, the eternal possibilities of the universe, the eternal number of parallel universes and possibilities. Because whatever you're doing now, it's what meant to be, and you're living in that parallel universe. Whatever parallel universe you're living in, that's the parallel universe that you're living in. You know what I mean? Wherever you go, that's where you are. And if suddenly you decide, oh my God, I don't want to be in this parallel universe, you just warp drive yourself to the other parallel universe automatically. So maybe that one dude who does different things. He can never sit still long enough to do the same goddamn thing. He's well, I guess I'm kind of like that. I'm bike touring one year, and then the next year I'm working on a history timeline, and then I abandon that. I haven't done it yet. I don't think I will, but say I do abandon that. And then I go to Hawaii and surf for 6 months, and then I stop that, and I go back to my timeline. And then I go to Chile, and I visit my ex-wife and her daughter, and pretend that I'm married again with kids. It's like I'm bouncing between all these different parallel universes, And so, yeah, I think the aliens would condone that. Bounce away. Do whatever you want. Because the universe is so big, it really doesn't matter what you want, because whatever you imagine yourself to do, you will do. And that's the benefit of believing in reincarnation, It's I always wanted to be a ballet dancer, and now I'm 90 years old, and I spent my whole life raising 4 kids and having 16 grandkids. And oh my life has been so hard. I went to so many different operas and had so many picnics with my family. But I always wanted to be a ballet dancer. It's well, guess what you're going to be in next life, Because you'll get reborn and you'll be thinking ballet dancer. And then you'll be the ballet dancer. And then at the end of that life, you'll be oh my, I always wanted to be a scuba diver. I always wanted to be an astronaut. But alas, I was never an astronaut. Guess what you'll be in your next life? Astronaut. But at the end of the ballet dancer life, you're not going to be oh my, I always wanted to have a family with 4 kids and have 4 grandkids, because you've done that and you've done there. You've been there and you've done that. So that's how big the universe is. I think that's what he meant when he said, you will never, ever have more of an impact on the universe as you're having right now. Just be happy with where you are, because that's where you are. That's what's appropriate for you. People settle, because I think a lot of the time the problem, and I think Bashar talks about this, and Christopher Witecki on Starbeam channel. What's that? Astral. Whatever. He's this astrologer I listen to. He's always mentioning that like Capricorns, because I'm a Capricorn, have problems always thinking, always doing stuff, thinking like they have trouble knowing what they want. Like they'll do something thinking that that's what they want, but they really don't want to do that, you know? And I think a lot of people are like that. People do stuff, go after stuff in their life thinking that they want to do that because it's what their family did or it's what they grew up thinking was cool, but then the world changed. Well, they grew up in that thing that they thought was cool, like it's like not cool to do anymore because like it's a saturated market or because it's a market that went away or you know, there's new things came up that are cooler to do or whatever. And it's just not you, you know. And so we should learn how to do what is us, do that which we are. And you know, I can kind of sometimes be like that. That's like I would love to be like an adventurer, you know, like just like bike tour around the whole world all the time and just do like physical, like endurance type of stuff. And I would do that happily if I had like tons of money, but I don't know for how long, you know, maybe not that long. And maybe before I even know, I would just settle down and be like a researcher, because I think that's what I really want to do. Because I did have money like 10 years ago. I was traveling and I had plenty of money, but I got stuck in yeah, I got stuck in like La Paz, like reading, you know. And the same thing happened in Kathmandu. I went to do the the Everest trek, and on my first day, I turned around and I was like, I don't want to do this, and I went and I read for 2 months, all night long and all day. And you know, that was before the internet, before you really knew the right stuff to read, and you know, it's stuff that you're going to remember and be good for you. But so I think that's what I really want to do. But yeah, people need to just know what they want. Well, that's what I want to do, and then have like side vacation, like every 5 years, go on like a 6-month bike tour or something like that, you know. But I think more and more people in the future, people are going to become more and more well-rounded, and they're not going to be like. And that's I mean, it's the pattern that we see in the present day. Back in the past, you always did the job that your father did. You know, that's where last names come from. Like, you're the Smiths. Well, that's because they're called the Smiths. Jimmy Smith, Johnny Smith, Josie Smith. They're the Smiths because that's what they did. They were Smiths, you know. Jimmy Jackson Taylor, well, they're the Taylors. You know, Carpenters were the Carpenters. And you know, they were very, not exactly well-rounded, you know what I mean? But nowadays, the world's changing well, nowadays, you don't do what your parents did. You do whatever you want. And it's going to get more and more like that. Like, not just, and you know, nowadays they say that you go through like 5 different careers in a lifetime, you know, and it'll probably even jump up from that. 20 different careers in a lifetime, you know? Because, you know, education will be so good, hell, you could probably be a doctor. You know, I was a doctor for a couple years. Then I was a lawyer for a couple years. Then I was a research scientist for a couple years. Then I was an astronaut for a couple years. Yeah, then in my mid-40s, I was a professional athlete there for a couple years, you know? For real. Yeah. So yeah, fluidity, and yeah, you'll never have more of an impact on the world as you're having right now. Just be happy with doing what you're doing. This is what you're doing. And like the butterfly effect. You know, a lot of people who feel like they're not making an impact in the world probably are making a lot bigger impact than they realize they are. Like parents, for example. Like if you're a parent and you have a really monotonous life, you play with your kid, you take your kid to here, you take your kid to there, but you're interacting with so many different people. You're interacting with your child, and then your children's friends, and then the other parents. For all you know, or you're probably engineering somebody to invent something. You know, your kid's going to invent something or create something or do something new, or one of their friends, because of something you said to them, is going to have some crazy, do something really remarkable, and you're going to end up being just as much of a impact on the world at large as, you know, some like famous philanthropist or some like scientist themselves who spent their whole life with their nose buried in a book inventing things, and everybody gives them credit and they think they're the dude who invented this and brought this and financed this. And yeah, sure, they did it, but who did they influence? You know, who did they actually interact with and inspire and all that? Maybe they, in the long run, they're not having any more of an impact as the teacher over there, because everybody fills in a niche in society. If you take any part of the web away, then the web will have to readjust, because we rely on everything. If we were to kill all the mosquitoes, you know, somebody was like, what's your magical power? Kill all the mosquitoes. I fucking hate mosquitoes. Well, we're gonna have a huge ass like spider die off, you know, and then because the spiders die off, all the like little like hummingbirds are gonna die, and then the hummingbirds like feed the snakes, and the snakes feed, you know, we're gonna have like this collapse of society, and we'll have to like readjust, and it'll be this big thing. So everybody, and even people in society, you know, we need everybody in society. But you know, I guess you could take that saying and use it in like a negative nihilistic way. But it could only be used negatively if you don't believe in reincarnation, and you believe that you live once, you live this world once. Was I? And it's like, you know, there's the people who got the short stick, and there's the people who drew the good straws, and lucky you if you're one of the people who was born into money or whatever, born with a brain, or born in a good country, in a good neighborhood, and had opportunities and got to have a life. But too bad for you, sucker or bastard, if you were born into some poor family in Africa. Your only chance ever, you know. So if you apply that whole idea, doesn't like nihilistic idea to that situation, well then yeah, it's not going to motivate people to be good people. It's just going to make people want to think it's a dog-eat-dog world and do what they can to get ahead materialistically. But built into the whole idea of you will never have more of an impact on the universe as you're having right now is the idea that the universe is infinite in size. You have an infinite amount of parallel of lives that you can reincarnate in and move forward in the world, or you can take a day off or take a life off and relive your life, or live a life in the past in one of those parallel universes. And if you acknowledge that, then you're going to be motivated to be fair and to try to make other people happy, because you know that happiness is better than unhappiness, you know. And obviously you want to be, what goes around comes around, you know. You want to be happy yourself, and if you're going around, you know, dog eat dog, well, your dog eat dog attitude's going to come back to you. That's another video. I guess it's the karmic video, but it's this energy you put out that will eventually I guess it's kind of complicated, but yeah, but knowing that idea, I don't think it will make people nihilists in a bad way at all. I think it'll make people more motivated to just do what they want, and actually make people more motivated to be good, because they won't be so frantic and so always trying to grab, you know, and thinking that this is their only chance. If you have as many chances in eternity to do whatever you want, then just do it right the first time. And then you're not going to always feel that void in your soul, you know. You're not going to feel that desire to redo it because you didn't do it right the first time, you know. You do it right the first time, then you can move on and do something else. And eventually you'll do everything. When I look around at people in the world these days, you know, I know at one point in their life they had incorporated they had done every single archetype ever in their life at one point or another. They've been a king, they've been a pauper, they've been a athlete, they've been a brainiac, you know, they've been everything. And it'll become more and more like that, I think, as the future comes within people's own lifetimes. You know, they'll, in one lifetime, everybody will always have done, and even nowadays, you know, always have been the athlete, always have climbed a mountain or something. You know, they had their day being the athlete, or, you know, even the athletes have had that day where they were really weak and they didn't feel good, and they were actually less physically strong than like a normally unphysically fit person when they're a good day. You know, so yeah, and then just stretch that out to all the different skills. And yeah, so just wherever you are, there you go. There you are. Wherever you go, there you are. You will never have as big of an impact on the world as you are having right now. So just be you. Be happy being you. Oh, and that's about long enough. Cool, cool.